two cruisers, two philosophies. The Rebel 1100 is a lean, tech-forward parallel twin built for accessibility and daily versatility. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse is a big-inch, blacked-out V-twin built for presence and low-speed swagger. Here's how they compare. The Rebel 1100 wears a compact, blacked-out, minimalist cruiser silhouette. Blacked-out engine covers, frame, fork, and even the final drive chain that reads modern and understated rather than overtly retro, as a blank canvas owners can personalize with Honda's accessory catalog. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse leans hard into vintage American bobber cues instead. A nacelle-mounted headlight bucket, bobbed fenders, 16-inch wire-spoke wheels, fork and shock covers, mini-ape handlebars, and a broad, chrome-free, murdered-out finish. It's a bigger, heavier, more theatrical motorcycle with genuine road presence at a standstill, drawing on more than a century of Indian's design heritage. For riders chasing that classic Americana bobber look, the Chief Bobber Dark Horse is simply in a different league. The Rebel 1100 uses Honda's 1084cc liquid-cooled parallel twin, borrowed from the Africa Twin and retuned with a heavier flywheel for cruiser-friendly V-twin-like pulses at low RPM. It makes a claimed 87 horsepower at 7,250 RPM and roughly 72 pound-feet of torque at 4,750 RPM, and it genuinely enjoys revving. Power keeps building well past the point a typical big-inch V-twin has signed off. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse counters with the air-cooled 116 cubic-inch 1,850cc Thunderstroke V-twin, rated at 120 pound-feet of torque at just 2,900 RPM, delivering the chest-thumping shove that defines the American cruiser experience, even though peak horsepower trails the Hondas. Riders who like to wring out an engine will gravitate toward the Rebel. Riders who want a short shift and let torque do the work will prefer the Thunderstroke. Honda's cruiser is dramatically lighter. The Rebel 1100 weighs about 498 pounds in manual form, or roughly 518 to 520 pounds with the DCT automatic. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse tips the scales at 670 pounds dry and 694 pounds ready to ride. Nearly 200 pounds heavier than the Rebel, built around a steel tube frame that prioritizes stability over agility. That gap shows up everywhere a rider interacts with the bike. Parking lot maneuvers, tight U-turns, and stop-and-go traffic all favor the Rebel, which feels closer to a standard motorcycle than a heavyweight cruiser. The Indian's extra mass, in turn, translates into a planted, unshakable feel at highway speed and in crosswinds. Newer or smaller riders will likely find the Rebel far less intimidating at a standstill. Honda offers real flexibility here that Indian simply doesn't match. Buyers can choose a conventional 6-speed manual or Honda's 6-speed automatic dual-clutch transmission, which shifts itself or allows manual control via handlebar-mounted paddle shifters, a genuine rarity in the cruiser class that eliminates stalling and clutch hand fatigue in traffic. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse sticks with a traditional 6-speed manual and wet multi-plate clutch, paired with a gear drive primary and chain final drive. Conventional and easy for experienced riders to service. But riders who want a clutchless option have exactly one choice in this matchup, and it's the Honda. The Rebel 1100 has a 27.5-inch seat height with a neutral, upright stance and mid-mounted foot controls that keep the knees bent comfortably, built for hours in the saddle without strain. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse sits even lower at 26.0 inches, but its mini-ape handlebars push the rider's arms up and out, while forward-mounted foot controls stretch the legs toward the front wheel. That's a more aggressive, stylized bobber posture straight out of custom bike culture, and it looks the part, but it also puts more strain on the shoulders and lower back over a long highway stint. Riders prioritizing all-day comfort should lean toward Honda. Riders who prioritize look and stance will prefer the Indian's stretched-out posture. The Rebel's 43mm fork delivers 5.5 inches of front travel and 3.7 inches out back from its twin Showa shocks, giving it noticeably more compliance over rough pavement than a typical low-slung cruiser. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse runs a beefier 46mm telescopic fork, but with less travel, 5.2 inches up front, paired with dual rear shocks offering adjustable spring preload and just 3.0 inches of travel. A shorter travel setup that matches its bobber silhouette, but sacrifices some ride quality on rougher roads. Ground clearance is close, 4.7 inches for the Honda versus 4.9 for the Indian. And the Chief's lean angle is rated at 28.5 degrees. In practice, the Rebel's longer travel suspension feels noticeably more composed when pavement turns choppy, while the Chief's stiffer, shorter travel setup rewards smooth roads with a firm, planted feel. Both bikes come standard with ABS, cruise control, and keyless or push-button convenience features, but they differ in both stopping hardware and rider assist tech. The Rebel 1100 uses a 330mm front disc paired with a 256mm rear disc, both hydraulic, with a linked front-to-rear braking system that applies some rear brake pressure whenever the front lever is pulled. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse runs a single 300mm semi-floating rotor up front, gripped by a 4-piston caliper, and a single 300mm floating rotor out back, gripped by a 2-piston caliper. A beefier caliper setup that helps offset the bike's nearly 200-pound weight disadvantage, though its brakes aren't linked. On the electronic side, the Rebel 1100 includes Honda selectable torque control, multiple ride modes, standard, sport, rain, plus 2 customizable settings, and a bright 5-inch TFT display with Honda RoadSync smartphone integration. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse counters with a 4-inch ride command display with factory-installed GPS navigation built directly into the dash, a real advantage for riders who don't want a phone mount, along with selectable ride modes. The Indian holds a larger 4.0-gallon tank against the Honda's 3.6-gallon tank, but the Rebel's more efficient engine likely closes much of that range gap in real-world mileage. Neither bike offers standard hard luggage, but Honda gives buyers a factory upgrade path Indian doesn't mirror in this trim. The Rebel 1100T bagger variant adds a batwing fairing and 35 liters of lockable saddlebags for riders who want touring capability without leaving the Rebel platform. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse can be dressed up with accessory storage, but none of that comes standard, and its bobber styling isn't built with long-haul touring in mind the way the Rebel 1100T is. The Rebel 1100 starts at $9,699 for the base manual model, climbing to roughly $10,399 for the DCT and $11,199 for the range-topping DCT SE trim, all comfortably under $12,000, even loaded. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse starts much higher, with real-world dealer pricing commonly landing at $19,999 before destination charges, meaning it can cost roughly double what a well-equipped Rebel does. Some of that gap is explained by displacement, air-cooled V-twin engineering, GPS-equipped ride command hardware, and Indian's heritage branding, but it's still a substantial premium to justify. Riders on a budget will find the Honda's value hard to beat, while buyers who value the Chief's specific look and Indian badge will see the price gap as the cost of admission. The Honda Rebel 1100 and Indian Chief Bobber Dark Horse aren't really fighting for the same buyer, and that's the most important takeaway here. The Rebel is the smarter, lighter, more affordable all-rounder, a bike that rewards daily riders with easy low-speed handling, strong rider assist tech, genuine transmission flexibility via the DCT option, and a factory bagger variant for those who eventually want more touring range. It's the easier bike to live with day to day and the easier bike to justify financially. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse is a statement piece. Heavier, pricier, and less nimble at a standstill, but soaked in low-end torque, built-in GPS convenience, and unmistakable retro American attitude no liquid-cooled parallel twin can fully replicate. Choose the Rebel 1100 for versatility, comfort, and value. Choose the Chief Bobber Dark Horse for presence, heritage, and unapologetic V-twin theater.